Hey YouTube, how are we doing? Geographers out there. GCSE Geographers AQA, this is paper 2, question 2, UK economic world. That's what we're revising tonight. Hopefully you can join us. Stay tuned for this one. Hopefully it's going to be a really big help for you with your exam on the 6th of June, which is the first Friday back after our half-term break. And today we're going to focus on question 2, as I say, UK economy. A tricky little section, but we'll unpick it in our live stream today. We'll simplify it into this nice single piece of paper of all the key revision that you're going to need, I think, in 2025. So, who's in the comments section? See who's in the chat. Let's say hello to everybody this evening. If you're in the chat, please do say hello. Drop in and tell us how you are. How's our half term going? How is the revision going? How are the exams going? How's the holiday going? Have you had a nice bank holiday as well? Let us know. All that good stuff. Have you got your cup of tea? That's the most important thing. Fascinating fact here we've got. Wow, QI straight in there with a fascinating fact. The latest earthquake is a magnitude 2.7 in an island called Puerto Rico. 45 minutes ago. Wow. Never knew that. I know earthquakes are going off all the time. But yeah, thank you for putting the fun fact in there in the chat. Hello to Bruno. Hello to James. Hello to Harry, our regulars. Hermes, good to see you as well. Thanks for joining in. Where are you watching the live stream from? Are you at home at your desk? Are you out with a dog? Are you walking? Are you down the gym? Are you on holidays? Anybody on holiday watching the live stream? I don't know. Maybe somewhere sunny abroad, potentially. Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Doing your revision whilst you're abroad in the sun. Oh. That's my idea of a dream. Geography revision and then in the sunshine. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. Got so much to say. We're going to try and squeeze in. This topic here is called Economic World. Check out our previous video where we covered development gap. We also covered Nigeria as our newly emerging country. So we've got a little series going on the channel. That was in our previous video last Monday. As I say, the second half of this topic is UK economy, and that's what we're going to cover in this video tonight. Exciting. We've also got 2 of the previous videos on urban issues and challenges and London and sustainable cities. They're also on our little playlist. Yes, we've got a playlist. Can you believe it? We're going up in the world. I know. It's quite simple, isn't it, to make a playlist, but we've never done it on the channel. So, yeah, we've got our YouTube playlist for paper 2. Watch all the content and revise at home in the comfort of your home. I am going to do a live stream on Wednesday evening, like this Wednesday, because I know the exam is not too far away now, and I've got 3 more live streams to fit in. This one, obviously, is 1. Then we've got 2 more. That's 3. We've got 4 more live streams. So we've got today's live stream. We've got a live stream on Wednesday where we're going to look at UK resources, which is question 3 on the AQA GCSE Geography. Monday's live stream next week will be water management, which is our specialist topic. So you don't want to miss that one. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. And then we are going to have a live stream on Thursday evening, the day before the exam, a little Q&A you can drop in, ask any questions about the exam or techniques or anything else that you've got going on. How about paper 3, QI? Good question. We will have a paper 3 session as well on the tidal barrier. We'll definitely do one on the tidal barrier gateway in Morecambe Bay. Yeah, we'll definitely do one on that. And I might do one on fieldwork skills, but that would be very personable to my school as well. But stay tuned for that one. Right. Let's get cracking then, guys. Let's switch cameras. Switch camera modes. Add to stage. Drop me down a little bit. There we go. Wow. So here we are. Let's get the all the good setup there. So obviously for these live streams, if you've joined us, you know this already. But best way to revise is to make active notes, revision notes. That's what we're going to do. Make sure you've got your highlighters, your rulers, a selection of coloured pencils to make that revision look super, super nice, but also to make it memorable. All triggers memory and things like that. And obviously the cup of tea, which looks a lot better than it did last week. And it certainly tastes better as well. Right, I think it's time to get on with some revision. Here we go then, guys. As I say, as we go through, we'll have some questions, get involved in the questions, and yeah, have some fun with this one. So here we go. This is paper 2. Have some fun, he says. It's geography revision. Paper 2, human geography. And this is Q2, which is a compulsory unit, which all students around the country will do. And it's called Economic World, but we're going to focus today on UK economy. Check out the previous video on our channel. And it is the 6th of June, Friday, the 6th of June. And not only that, it's a Friday afternoon as well. It's a late one, but there we go. That's when this one will be due in. Right, let me just straighten you all up. That's it. So there we go, guys. Zoom in. So paper 2, human geography, UK economic world, UK economy, 6th of June. So we're going to start off with some fun facts about the current UK economy. So here we go. Let's get the Union Jack up there. The pride of the Union Jack. Here we go. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth does he bother doing all these little pictures and things? But it really does make your revision, first of all, more enjoyable, but also more memorable. Because when you're in your exam, you go, oh, I know, that was up next to the Union Jack in the top left-hand corner. So it all triggers memories. There we've got our Union Jack, guys. So as I say, we're going to look at the UK economy in this section. This is the total value of goods and services within the area and the value of wealth and money. And we'll start with a really positive fact. We are the fastest growing economy in the G7 countries. So I don't know if you've heard of the G7. These are the great 7 economies of the world. So obviously you've got the US in there, you've got Germany in there, and obviously we've got the UK in there as well. And we are first place. We have got the fastest growing economy in the 7 largest economies in the world at the moment. So that's going pretty well. It's going really well. In terms of the sectors of economy, the UK economy is dominated. It's dominated by tertiary sector employment. So most people in our country work in the tertiary sector. So a bit of a fun fact, a bit of a question. What do we mean by the tertiary sector? What is meant by the tertiary sector? See if you know. So here's the fact that we're going to have. It's 80% of all UK jobs are in tertiary. Yeah, 80% of all UK jobs are in the tertiary sector. There we go. So some of the biggest employers in the UK are retail, which is shops, finance and banking, and business services. That's where most people work in terms of those types of industries. So do we know what tertiary jobs are? Bruno, services, e.g. hospitals, working with people. Yeah, it's a job where Harry, you get that point, I'm afraid. Harry, Bruno, James, QR. Here's up in the chat, guys, if you are playing along as well. Get some points. Yeah, so Harry is correct. It's where you provide a service for people like teaching. Yeah, I like this job here. So 80% of people work in the service sector. A couple of other facts about the UK economy and the reason why it's going so strong at the moment or doing relatively well is because we've got very good trade links. So here's my boat. We import and export lots of goods with our trading partners. So we put high imports and exports, or maybe just put high trade. That's a little arrow going up there. There we go. That's our trade, our boat. Yeah. So we've got very, very high trade. I'm going to put in strong international links. Strong international trade. There we go. In particular with these following countries. So we trade a lot with the European Union. That's where a lot of our food comes from, our imported food. We also trade a lot with our closest allies, the United States or the US. So we'll get some flags on here as well. And last but not least, the most recent trade deal that was done only last week was a great trade deal with our former colony country, India. So yeah, these, if you have to mention which countries the UK trades with in particular, these are some of our greatest trading partners. So we've got to say the EU, which is our biggest trading partner because they're very close to us as well. All the EU countries. It's my EU flag. It doesn't look much like an EU flag, does it? I bet yours looks a bit better than mine. And there's my American one, the stars and stripes. And there we go. So there's our trading partners. Yeah, good. And the growth rate at the moment in the UK, the economy is growing by 1.3% growth, which is the highest we've had for a long time, guys. Really concentrating now, look. I'm sticking my tongue out. 1.3% growth. So that means that the UK's economy is growing by 1.3%, which we've already said is the highest out of all the G7 countries. And that's how much the economy has grown in 2025. Yeah, all the latest statistics here, which is fantastic, isn't it? We also have a very globalized economy. So let's get the globe in here. Yeah, put a few countries in there, which basically means that we work and we're linked to other countries through trade. We buy and sell, or we import and export goods. In fact, we'll put imports and exports there. Imports means to bring goods in versus exports, which is to take goods out of the country. Obviously, exports is where you create your wealth when you're selling things. So we have a globalized economy. Through trading, as we've already said above, EU, USA, and India. So that's our little fun fact file all about UK economy. So if you ask generally about how it's getting on, how it's doing, yeah, there you've got some stuff to talk about that you can add into any answer. It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. And the more trade deals we make, the better. Right, we're going to have a look at the next section now, which is, and you might get a little, I don't know, 1 marker, 2 marker. Oops, got a little typo there. Employment types. We're going to look at job types. There we go. So what are the 4 categories of jobs that geographers categorize jobs into? What are the 4 types of jobs, guys? I'm sure you know we've had one mentioned previously. I'm going to draw a little table here for this bit, for our little job types. So let's get this going. Because you might be asked for a definition, or you might be asked to give examples. Let's put there. We're going to put a little. Get a little arrow in here whilst we're waiting. So as countries develop, the structure of jobs does. Oh, sorry, guys, I didn't realise. Yeah, so as countries develop and become richer, the structure of jobs actually changes over time. That is called the Rostow's model. That for anybody's going for a grade 9, check out the Rostow's model, which shows you that poorer countries tend to have the first category of jobs, newly emerging economies have the middle kind, and then the HICs have the upper kind. So what are these kind of jobs? Let's have a look then. We've got them here. Let's have a look. QI, yeah, primary. You can have a point. Harry, yes, primary, secondary, tertiary. Full marks. You're winning so far. Bruno, yeah, he's right. Little typo on quaternary. QI, well done. You've already got a point for this one. James, excellent. 5 stages to Rostow's model there are. Well done. That's impressive. If you can name those, you can get an extra point. You can have 2 points. You've got 2 points now. But yeah, what are the 5 stages of Rostow's model? Right, let's get these in then. So quite simply, we've got primary jobs. We've got secondary jobs. We've got tertiary jobs. And I'm running out of space. We've got quaternary jobs. Okay. I'm just going to make a little summary table here, if we can. Let's put these in. Box it off, just make sure it's nice and neat. So, primary jobs is where you extract raw materials from the earth. Coal, oil, diamonds, all of those things, fish, all examples of primary jobs. So we could also add to that, as we said, agriculture. So let's get a job type in here. There's my tractor. Hopefully yours is coming on well. So we're going to put in here agriculture, because that's the main primary job in the UK. Agriculture, which employs about 2% of the labour in the UK. This sector is really dominated by LICs, generally. So LICs have a lot of primary jobs. Here we go. Yeah. So LICs have a lot of primary jobs. And it's the extraction of raw materials. We're just trying to get all the topic on this one page pretty much, which we will do if we write quite small. Secondary jobs is manufacturing, when you make something out of the raw materials. Manufacturing. This could be somebody who's building a house or making a cake from raw ingredients. But because we live in Burton, obviously we're going to talk about brewing. Yeah. Let's get a pint of beer. Yeah, so the brewing industry is an example of, there's a pint of beer. The brewing industry is an example of secondary manufacturing in the UK. You can also have Rolls-Royce and Toyota and places like that, but around about 10% of UK jobs are in this sector. So 2% in the primary sector, 10% roughly in manufacturing or making products. This is very typical of the newly emerging economy countries as well. Right, on to tertiary then. Provide a service for people. And we've already said in our previous section, 80% of people work in this sector. So the good example here would be one of my favourite organisations in the UK. They do an incredible job for you and your family and your loved ones. Can't even do an S. Bubble writing. There we go. It's the NHS. So they provide lots of jobs in healthcare service across the UK. helping people every single day. So the NHS is a really good example. Last but not least is quaternary sector, which is research. So this could be medical research, technological research, and it's innovation or invention. And it's things like consultancy. So if you're a consultant maybe in technology or something like that, that would be classed as quaternary sector. Good example is a science park. So let's just draw a graduate's hat. This is what you get when you've graduated, guys, at uni. There we go. And it's an example would be a science park, such as Cambridge Science Park. Great example of a science park where there's a lot of quaternary jobs. So these types of jobs are very typical for HICs, and this, guys, this sector here is known as the post-industrial economy. Post-industrial economy. Squeeze it in. There we go. That is a key term, guys, the post-industrial economy. And this is very common. So HICs have economies that are dominated by these two sectors here. So here is the UK. The UK is in a post-industrial economy after the Industrial Revolution. Right, there's our jobs types with some examples. Say 80% of people work roughly in this sector. That's 92. That means about 8% here, roughly in quaternary sector as well, if you add it up to 100. Right, let's get into that next section then. We're going to look at a section which I'm predicting to come up this year, which is always likely to come up this year, which is impact of UK industry on the environment. So if a question came up, how does industry impact the environment? What case study or what would you talk about as your example? Impact of industry on the environment. Let's go to the chat as well. Here we go. 5 stages of the Rostow's model. Traditional society, correct. Things like subsistence farming, farming to meet your own needs. Then you've got transitional stage or commercial farming, selling food to export. Then you've got your takeoff, which is industrialization, secondary manufacturing, and then you've got your drive to maturity and mass consumption, which is this section here. It's your tertiary and quaternary. So if you're going to really impress the examiner, have a check out of Rostow's model of economic development. It's basically these stages that countries go through to get to the jobs being largely in tertiary and quaternary sector. Impressive. Right, what case study would you use for the impact of UK industry on the environment? So here we go. Impact of UK industry on the environment. Now, this is likely to come up, so we'll best get prepared for this one. London, yeah, it has to be like a type of industry, really. Type of industry, guys. Impact of industry on the UK environment. What have we got going on? Ooh, London, Liverpool. You may have done those. A quarry is the correct answer. A quarry is where we dig out stone to make cement in the construction industry. So that's the one we're gonna look at now. So the quarry I'm picking out though is going to be. Let's get a little map pin here. Tor Quarry is in Somerset. You could do that's one that we studied in class, but we're going to go for Hope Quarry. Hope Quarry, as I say, let's just put in brackets of what a quarry is. It extracts stone for the construction industry. And Hope Quarry is in Derbyshire, which is not a million miles away from here. It's in Derbyshire. And it really specialises, it is a limestone quarry. That's what it really focused on. So limestone quarry. As I say, that's used to make cement, which has a huge impact on the environment. So that's our next bit. Can you name an environmental impact of a quarry. Let me just draw a quarry. So what's the impact of quarrying on the natural environment? So let's get our quarry in. QI, you might have done a different case study as well. I'm not sure, but if you want to stick with that one, you're more than welcome. Or you can learn about a quarry, whichever suits you. Let's get this quarry drawn in. So a quarry is a huge kind of hole in the landscape using heavy machinery to dig out the rocks like limestone. Right, we're nearly there with a quarry drawing, guys. It's not could have drawn probably a better quarry, but we'll go with this. It's limestone, so it looks like a yellowy colour as well. There we go. Put a bit of flat land around it. And there we go. There is our quarry. Right. Oh, God. There's a quarry. Rochester. We did JCB. Ah, nice. Yeah, JCB in Rochester. That's a good one. Great case study, that is. Yeah, you can stick with that one, or you can learn Hope Quarry. It's up to you. Entirely up to you. Right, impacts of quarrying. Let's have a little look. I have to go back up here. So we've got air pollution. Correct answer. Yes. Bruno, you're on 4. Scar on the landscape. Excellent. Who's that one? That one is Bruno again. 5. You're on Bruno here. Air pollution. Yeah, from the dust from the quarry. Loss of diversity. Yes. Biodiversity, I think. Yeah, biodiversity, the wildlife. Absolutely. Well done, Harry. Water pollution. Excellent. Destruction of habitats. Correct, James. JCB. Increased emissions from transport. Yeah, the lorries that transport the stone on the rural roads. Right, so let's get some of those on then. We're going to start with Bruno's one. We're going to put scar on the landscape. That's kind of a phrase. Scar on landscape. It's like a permanent bit of damage to the landscape. You'll always be able to see it, a bit like a scar on the surface of your skin. It's always going to be there as a memory of what happened. So we've got scar on the landscape. So that's a negative. So let's put that in. I'm going to put all the negatives in a red thing there. I think up here we can put habitat loss through deforestation or disruption because of all the noise. But definitely got habitat loss. Oops, let's put it in the center, guys. Habitat loss is there. Let's go for traffic. Traffic congestion on narrow rural roads. Yeah, these huge lorries that transport these huge blocks of limestone, they have to use the narrow country lanes, and that has a significant impact on congestion and emissions as well from those vehicles. We're going to go for contamination of groundwater, which Harry said. We've got contamination of groundwater supplies, or drinking water can be contaminated, which can then affect local water supplies in a negative way as well. And our last negative around the quarry is going to be dust from the construction dust as a drilling or exploding using explosives to loosen the rocks. But dust obviously can create airborne particles, which then can affect breathing and respiratory problems. So we've got dust and the noise. Nearby villagers often complain in places like Castleton of the noise pollution. Dust, atmospheric pollution, and noise pollution. So, yeah, there's lots of environmental impacts. Remember, that's what we're looking at here, guys. The environmental impacts of a UK industry. So if that comes up, we've got quarrying. Now, I don't want to leave it all doom and gloom, because quarrying does really do some positives for the economy. So we'll just add a few positives, economic positives there at the bottom, and how it helps. So Hope Quarry employs 300 people. Let's put in brackets jobs. It's 300 local jobs created by Hope Quarry, which is fantastic, giving those people some work, payment, and they can put that money back into the local area as they spend it on services. It's also vital for the UK economy. Vital for UK economy, because Hope Quarry generates, on average, each year, 61 million in economic business, or in terms of economic output. So it's really important part of the economy. 61 million is generated by Hope Quarry in Derbyshire, overlooking the Peak District, which I should have said is a national park, by the way. It's an area of conservation, an area of outstanding natural beauty. And we've got quarrying going on there, which is a bit of a worry. And the last thing, which is really positive to say, is when you've got jobs, people are getting paid, this can trigger something called, I'll put in block capitals, the multiplier effect. This is for definitely use in this section. The multiplier effect means that people have got jobs, they then have more money to spend, which they can spend in local services, more taxation, government get more tax, which then they can reinvest in services like healthcare and education. The multiplier effect is a great thing to remember if you're going for the higher grades and you want to talk about the positives of jobs in an area. Mention the multiplier effect. The examiner will love you. There we go. So there is Hope Quarry, impacts of the UK industry on the environment. Now, next quiz question, guys, in the chat. Here we go. Give me 3 ways we can restore quarries after they've become exhausted of stone, as it were, or decommissioned. So once a quarry is finished in terms of its activity, we decommission them. And what can we use them for following that activity? Quarry restoration, it's called. Let's have a little look at this. So we've got a tiny bit of space down here. I'm going to put these in. Quarry restoration. This has never been on the exam, ever, in 7 years. And it might not be on in 2025. But, hey, why would they tell us to teach you it if they were never going to ask you a question? That's my point. So if it's never been on, it's potentially likely to come up, isn't it? So what can we do with quarries after they've become decommissioned? Right, lots of ideas here. Tourism. Yeah, can you give me an example of where they've got a quarry that's a tourist-based quarry? Bruno, let us know. And a storage for flooding. Yeah, good idea. So any excess river water can be diverted into empty quarries as a flood management or flood relief scheme. Yeah, well done. Impressive. Tourism, well done, James. Have we got a quarry that has tourism, guys? Let us know. Quarry with tourism. Natural parks. I think you're kind of getting on something. It's even like wildlife reserves. Is that what you're saying there? Like a wildlife area. Potentially, that would be a good one. Could be a correct answer. Landfill site. Yes, Harry. Yeah, putting all our waste from the black bin into the landfill, sorry, into the quarry, which has been, obviously it's been lined. So you line the quarry, you put the rubbish into the quarry, and then you can just kind of cover it over. That is the example I'm going to go with, Bruno. Penryn Quarry, Zip World in Wales. Yeah, I went to one recently up in Scarborough. There's the Yorkshire Water Park. And let me show you a picture of this. I went to this one. If you're up in near Scarborough, Filey, Bridleton, yeah, have a look at this, guys. You'll be well impressed. Is it Yorkshire Water Park? So it's an old quarry, disused quarry. It's been decommissioned, and now it's an outdoor. It's an outdoor, water park. Let me just share the screen with you guys. Present, stop screen share, present. And this is a fantastic place to go and visit. Here we go. Look at that, guys. Yeah, so it's an outdoor adventurous activity place. You can go, you can walk your dog or whatever around the lake. There's a cafe. There is boating, canoeing, kayaking, and yeah, you get on all these inflatables as well. An absolutely fantastic day out at the Yorkshire Water Park. And yeah, it used to be an old flooded quarry, but look at that. Way better than doing revision, isn't it? Been on there. Yeah, I've been on there. It's absolutely great fun. 4.7 stars on Google. Yeah, highly recommended. But yeah, I'm going to talk about Zip World. In fact, whilst I'm here, guys, let's put Zip World in. Go back to the top. So this is in Wales. This is the fastest zip line in the world. Sorry, I had to do that. Fastest zip line in the world. It's in Penryn Quarry. Look at this. It's called the Velocity. £92 to do the Velocity. They've also got coasters there. Look, they've got, what else? They got Titan. They've got slides. Air Explorer, Bounce Worlds, Quarry Kart. Look at this for tourism. Deep Mine Tour, Underground Golf. Wow, they're really caverns, safari zips, sky ride. Oh my goodness, this place is incredible. So much going on, and I also know they do lots of things around Christmas and things like that as well, Halloween. But yeah, look at that. Well impressed with that. That looks fantastic. So we're going to talk about Penryn Quarry in Wales, and we're also going to mention a few other things. So here we go. Quarry restoration. Let's have a little look then. Let's get back to... there we go. Let's organize. There we go. Right, we're back to where we were. Penryn Quarry then. First of all, we can have a wetland ecosystem. So you can let it fill up naturally with rainwater. Probably take around about 2 or 3 years, they say. So wetland ecosystem. Just let it fill up with beautiful fresh rainwater. Create this beautiful freshwater habitat, attracting insects, birds, small mammals. Absolutely fantastic. So there we go. That's our little ecosystem there. And we've got one in just in Burton. I don't know if you've actually been to this, but it's called Tuckles-Home. So those are going for higher grades. You might want to try and remember this. Tuckles-Home. Tuckles-Home Nature Reserve. Yeah. Tuckles-Home Nature Reserve. And it's run by the South Staffs Wildlife Trust. So we'll add them in there as well. South Staffs Wildlife Trust. And they run it. And it's absolutely thriving little nature reserve. Used to be an old gravel pit. Let's put that on there. So it used to be full of gravel. It used to be a gravel pit. But now it's filled up with rainwater, and it's a lovely freshwater ecosystem just outside of Burton, just to the south of Burton. So that's number one. Number two is what Harry said, a landfill site. Landfill site, which is where your black bin waste can go. So we're always looking for places for landfill sites, or councils, I say are, not me necessarily, but councils are always looking for somewhere for our black bin rubbish to go. So here's our little dustbin lorry here, tipping up into the quarry and filling up with rubbish. Let's get some colours on here. And greens, blues, and pinks, because we never use pink really on here. Yeah, and that just goes into the quarry. That rubbish looks very colourful, doesn't it? That rubbish looks very colourful. Yeah, and you can make it into a landfill site, which is for waste management. So let's put that there, waste management. And they did this in Chesterfield. They've used a quarry for landfill site. That's in North Derbyshire. And number three was tourism. Now let's get a little zip line going with a person on it. There's someone going down a zip line. And we've got Zip Worlds. Zip World in Wales. North Wales it is. If you ever get across to North Wales, definitely check it out. It is absolutely fantastic over there. There's Zip World. And this is, it's got all sorts going on, as you've just seen on the website. But this is in Pen, let me just get this spelling right, Penryn Quarry, which was an old slate quarry to make roof tiles. Yes, this one was slate originally, and now it's a Zip World for tourism. So yeah, quarries can also live on even after they've been exhausted of their, in this case, limestone, and been decommissioned. There's 3 great things we can do with them afterwards. So there we go. Right, we're going to move on to this middle section now. I'm just going to zoom out and show you where we are. Look at that, guys. I think this could be one of my favorites so far. It's very visual, isn't it, today? Very visual. Right, so I'm just going to put a little red line down here just to cut that bit off there, look. And then just to box in our case study for UK industry impact on the environment. Just finish that down there. Look. So that's our first section. As you know, we do it in kind of 3 sections, this. So we're going to go for our middle section now, which is going to be brilliant. I'll tell you why it's going to be brilliant, because this could be used either in this section, UK economy, or you can even use it for regeneration. So in question 1, if you're asked about how a place has changed over time, yeah, you can use this case study for 2 sections. It's absolutely fantastic. I think you're going to end up needing this case study as well, because I've got a feeling that deindustrialization could be on this paper. It's on the short list of things that are likely to come up, deindustrialization. So we're going to drop down into here for our case study on deindustrialization. So hit us up in the chat, guys. Where would you talk about as a case study for where industry has closed down and land has become derelict and in need of some regeneration? Let's get the cameras sorted out there. So here is incoming case study. Could be used in question 1 or question 2. So in question 1, we can use the Olympics Stratford, which is on our previous video. Check that out on the channel. But you could also use this one for deindustrialization. Deindustrialization, where industries close down. Deindustrialization in the UK. So you might get a question about deindustrialization. What is it? Deindustrialization means the decline of secondary industries or manufacturing. Yeah. So that's what we mean by deindustrialization. Yes. Grimsby, possibly, yeah. We looked at, did we look at Young's, the fishing industry there? Yeah, I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, Harry, you could use that. The decline of the fishing industry in Grimsby. And James, that is the one. London Docklands is the one I'm going to do now. So as I say, if you want to talk about the loss of jobs, you can use this. Or if you want to talk about an area that's been regenerated and improved, you can also use this case study. So let's get into it. Let's put our little map pin. Here we go. So this is London Docklands. The old docks where ships used to come in. London Docklands, which is also in East London. Very close, actually, to the regeneration of the London Olympic Park. So these are very close together. And in the 1960s, this area experienced rapid deindustrialization. So in 1960, that's just a little calendar there, we had rapid deindustrialization, closure of industry in the area. Industrialization. Sorry, I'm just going to get that in there. Rapid deindustrialization in the 1960s. And there's 2 main reasons why this happened. So let's have a quick look at these reasons. Can you remember a reason why the London Docklands closed? Why did the London Docklands decline? Let's use a brown because it's like decline. What have we got? Outer Hebrides. Yeah, that is for rural depopulation. That is. Yeah, rural depopulation. Good case study that one is as well. Yes, containerization is the correct answer. So, number one, the first reason why the docks closed was containerization. We went from traditional kind of wooden cargo boxes to massive containers, these metal containers that you see now on cargo ships that can transport goods around the world at a very affordable and effective price. You must have seen cargo ships all stacked up with containers. So containerization, ships that had the containers on became too large for the docks in London. The hulls were too big, the boats were too big, and they couldn't get into the original docks in central London. Technology and boats outgrew the old Victorian dock area. That's the first reason. The second reason is, have we got another reason here? Containerization. Yeah, well done. Bruno, you've got that one. River became too small for the boats carrying containers. Absolutely correct. Well done. Containerization. And the second reason why the Docklands closed in the 1960s onwards was globalization. Oh, let's highlight containerization because that's a key one for revision. And then we've got globalization. So as the UK opened up to global trade and global business, competition rose, and that meant that there was a global shift. That's a key term there, guys. If you can try and remember that one, I'm going to underline it in yellow. There was a global shift in manufacturing eastwards to Asia. So places like India, China, Thailand, Indonesia, and it became cheaper and things to manufacture over there. So the docks weren't as needed than they were perhaps in the early 1900s. And that was because of the lower costs in Asia. So I'll just draw a little arrow going down there. So the cost of production was cheaper in the Asian countries, and therefore it wasn't so much needed to manufacture the goods here in the UK, and that shifted across elsewhere. The vast majority of the docks closed in the 1980s. Now, this was really sad times for anybody who lived and worked around this area of East London. So they were in steady decline from the 1960s, but the final closure of the docks was in the 1980s. And that's where we saw the end of them, pretty much. So 1980s. And it was a classic symbol of urban decay, like an area of a city becoming very run down, derelict, deindustrialized. It had a lot of brownfield, let's get that one on, brownfield sites, land that was contaminated from the previous docks and industrial activity. Yeah, it's an area of brownfield, and it's an area of urban decay. There was also, sadly, mass unemployment on the back of this. And a lot of people, I say a lot, 10,000 people were made unemployed or lost their jobs, which had a significant impact on the area. 10,000 people in this area. Huge part of the British economy was lost within 10 to 20 years. There we go. So sad, sad times. Now we're going to really impress the examiner with this next bit, because when you have this rapid deindustrialization, it leads to a process that really impacts the economy. What is the name of the process whereby when people lose their jobs, it impacts on all aspects of the place and society? What is it called, guys? Hit us up in the comments. This is something that you will definitely use probably in the UK economy section. What is it called? Have we got it here? Cycle of decline. Yes, Bruno. Well, technically it's called the spiral of decline. Let's put it in block capitals, spiral of decline. So following the job losses, the area hit a spiral of decline. It's where the economy starts to shrink, it starts to decline. The jobs aren't available anymore, and it has huge impacts on the economy. You could also, if you want to be really smart, you could argue that it's a transition in the economy. It's changing maybe from manufacturing to something else. So it's actually in transition. It's changing to another type of employment, maybe tertiary or tertiary or quaternary. So on the positive side, it's a kind of a transition period, but generally the spiral of decline is when the economy is shrinking and it leads to negative impacts. So we're going to put those in. So let's put them in. Jobs lost, that's the first bit of the spiral of decline, which then leads to lower wealth in the area because people haven't got a job. They're now unemployed. This leads to dereliction. The buildings become derelict. The foul factories derelict and abandoned. The area starts to become very run down. So guess what? Anybody who's got money will out-migrate. This leads to out-migration. Generally of the wealthy people or the richer people that live there. And that also means that you have a loss of community. People that once lived together for many years are separated because people start to leave the area. As people start to leave, very few people want to live there. So house prices drop because it becomes a less desirable place to live. Because people don't think there's much hope for the place, this can lead to things like low aspirations. So the kids go to school, but they don't really try because they think, well, I live in an area where there's no jobs. What's the point? And because there's less money in the area, it also leads to things like poor services, like schools, the local doctors, perhaps is not as good. And then it kind of continues, further job losses. And this is all the issues that lead to the spiral of decline. So if deindustrialization is on, or if you can talk about a declining UK economy, yeah, this is the one, guys. This is the one, spiral of decline. Try and remember that one. It'd be fantastic if you did. So this happened in the Docklands. There was a huge spiral of decline. However, today, this area is completely transformed. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. It looks absolutely stunning. It's had a lot of regeneration in the last 20 to 30 years. And this is how you can use it for your urban issues case study. So if you're asked about urban change or the success of urban change, this is the one you could use. You could talk about regeneration in this particular area. So I'll make the notes, then I'll show you some examples of what's been done here. So the first thing, they built some really modern high-rise buildings and they named them Canary Wharf. Now this is world famous, Canary Wharf. It is very famous for UK finance and banking sector. So all the UK's largest banking services are found in this area, and there is 100,000 jobs there now. Yeah, so there was 10,000 jobs during the Docklands period, but now there's 100,000 people work in Canary Wharf, in banking, finance, really high paid jobs as well down there in that particular sector. One bank in particular that you may have heard of is HSBC. So if you want to remember a name of a bank down there, yeah, we've got HSBC is one of them. Very iconic building in Canary Wharf. So that's our first bit of regeneration. As I say, underneath Canary Wharf, you've got a huge shopping centre as well. Lots of retail sector, again, providing jobs. Another positive about it was that the government actually tried to attract lots of business following the deindustrialisation to the area. And they did that by creating an enterprise zone or a business area. It's called an enterprise zone, which gives businesses a tax break. So they pay less tax if they put their business here and create jobs and employment. So it's tax break for new business. And that was a government strategy, which was very successful to get people there. They also wanted to improve the transport in the area. So the Docklands wasn't very well connected to London at this point, central London anyway. So they built a new railway. And this was called the Docklands Light Railway. The cool thing about the Docklands Light Railway, fun fact, they are driverless trains. Driverless trains. Yeah, they just work on sensors. And that connected the old Docklands to central London. So you could get into central London within 10 to 15 minutes on the new Docklands Light Railway. As I say, improved efficiency down there, which is fantastic. Yeah, there's the Docklands Light Railway. Done it the other way around. It should be red and blue, but never mind. A couple of other things they built down there. I don't know if anybody's been to this place, but the O2 Arena is on the Docklands site. It used to be called the Millennium Dome. It's an entertainment and arts and exhibition centre, concert hall, the O2 Arena for recreation. So you can go and watch, like, I don't know, famous singers and things like that, which is absolutely superb. Not only did they build lots of buildings and services down here, they also thought about green space. So they planted up the area with trees, flower beds, and they created a waterfront because it's on the obviously edge of the Thames, the River Thames. We should perhaps mention the River Thames a bit earlier. Waterfront green space, and it's really stunning. Yeah, you can sit down there and have lunch and, you know, take in the beautiful scenery as well, which is fantastic. A really nice living space, which gets on to our last little thing. As I say, it's a great little case study for regeneration if you want to use this one instead. Or you could talk about London Olympics, Stratford, and this one. It's up to you. But I guess you'll definitely use one of them. But they've built 22,000 luxury apartment blocks, really expensive apartment blocks. So it used to be where the old dock houses were, like the terrace, classic Victorian terraced houses. But now you've got this lovely penthouse, glass-fronted apartment blocks. And again, the issue here with this regeneration project was that originally it was the Docklands workers who were relatively poor but hard-working people, replaced by completely different sector of employment, now tertiary and quaternary sectors, business and finance, much more expensive housing that was replaced it. So it's a good example of, if we can squeeze it in, another example of gentrification. Gentrification is where you change the area from what it originally was like, you gentrify it by spending money on regeneration, and perhaps it will change the economy of the area, which will change the economy structure. As I say, it's no tertiary, quaternary, and you change the people that live there, because the old Docklands workers do not live there any longer. Hey, hello, Rosa. Thanks for dropping in on the live stream. Appreciate it. Right, we are nearly home and dry, but we can't get home and dry without talking about the north-south divide in the UK. Again, this is one of our predictions. I think we've done so well today, guys, here. At the moment, it's about 10 lessons you do on the UK economy, and we're pretty much getting it, most of the key bits, into this single page, which is absolutely brilliant. So I've just sectioned that bit off there. That's our case study on deindustrialisation and the impacts of deindustrialisation on a place in the UK. As I say, East London, the Docklands. It's been positive and negative. I thought it was 17. Don't remember doing this in my school. Yeah, you might have done a different case study. The Docklands, you may have done a different one. In fact, wait, let me just show you a picture of the Docklands before I move on. Look at this. Check this out. Canary Wharf. Doesn't look anything like an old Docklands anymore. In fact, actually, they kept some of the heritage. Let me just get rid of the screen share here. Stop sharing. They kept some of the heritage, so you can actually see still the. Let me just present again. The old Docklands buildings are still there, as you can see. Let's just go to images. Look at that. That is Canary Wharf, guys. It is stunning. This is the finance and banking sector. That's the old docks. Look at the waterfront areas, which has all been planted up with the green spaces, recreation, brilliant social sustainability there. Developing a community. But yeah, and they also, like I say, kept some of the heritage. I don't know if we've got the old docks, cranes and things. You can often see them, but this is Canary Wharf. It does look fantastic. Very successful government-led regeneration scheme overall. Right, let's go back to our final bit on the North-South divide. So, what do you remember about the North-South divide? Hit us up in the chat, guys. What is the North-South divide? We're going to go up here on our final third. I think this potentially could come up, as I say, in 2025. So what do we know? Poor North and richer South. That is correct. Yeah. Let's get you on that one there. Yeah. Poor North and richer South. Absolutely. Point for Harry. Harry, you're on 7, by the way. Rosa can join in as well. That'd be jump on, Rosa. Get in the quiz. So I'm going to put here the North-South divide. So most countries do have an economic divide, also known as a development gap. That's a key phrase. So what that means is that the quality of life in one area could be better in the country than others. So that usually is the case between urban areas tend to be more developed than rural areas. But most countries do have a development gap. North and South Korea. Italy also has its North-South divide. America has a North-South divide. And the UK has a North-South divide. What have we got? The South is richer. Well done. And better healthcare. Well done, QI. HS2, yes. Attempt to connect London. But was about, yes, I'm going to mention that, Rosa. Strategies to close the North-South divide has only been on once. And I think that might be on again might be on this year. So we are going to look at that. HS2 briefly. Caused by deindustrialization, in the north. Superb. The fact that you're using this language is brilliant. Deindustrialization and globalization, absolutely fantastic. Right, let's have a look. So let's summarize the North-South divide as being the inequality in people's quality of life. Inequality is the key word. Oops. Key word when you're talking about the North-South divide. Inequality. There you go. And that means that some people have access to better services or more services than others, maybe more wealth than others. Some people got more money than others. Jobs pay more in some parts than others. It can also lead to, which is a problem, it can lead to increased deprivation. So we're trying to go for top grades here. So in the poorer areas, it leads to increased increased deprivation. So the government don't want that. They've got to try and address it. Increased deprivation in poorer areas, which for the UK means the north. So it's the north of England that is the poorer areas. So we'll just draw a little sketch of the north of England and the south. So there's the north, there's the south. Okay. And let's just divide them up a little bit. So there isn't a physical divide, obviously, between the north and the south, but the main problem was the north used to be known as the northern industrial powerhouse. It used to be where all the secondary manufacturing was in places like Derby, Manchester, Bradford, Leeds. And it's been really badly hit by deindustrialisation. So during Victorian England, this is where the UK's GDP was generated. This is where the wealth of the country was generated, in those mills of the north, in the famous mills in places like, I say, Derby and Manchester. But it suffered from massive deindustrialisation, again, round about the 1960s, 1970s. Let's just go for 1980s here. Deindustrialisation. So the north has suffered ever since that point due to the closure of the manufacturing factories and mills. And that, again, led to huge amounts of deprivation and the spiral of decline. So that's the main reason why the north suffered. In summary, basically, the economy relied heavily on manufacturing, and that was its downfall. London never focused purely on manufacturing, so it's been able to adapt, whereas the northern cities did, and many of those industries are no longer there, sadly. I'd love to bring back those industrial northern towns back into their heyday, but it's just not going to happen. So the south generally has a more service-based economy, or tertiary sector-based economy. Service-based economy. So when the industries closed, it wasn't really affected by that in places like London, because it's not the service sector economy that's kind of shrunk. And also the south has very much a globalized economy. It's much more linked to the rest of the world. A globalized economy. It trades more with the rest of the world. Let me just give you a fun fact here. The city of London on its own generates 20% of the UK's overall wealth, gross national income. So 20% of all the wealth generated in this country is done in that one city of London. It's so productive. And I've just said how important and how much the UK economy is growing, and we can thank some of that to London, because, as I say, 20% of all of the wealth in this country is generated by that single city alone. It is incredible. Right, properties and house prices are much more expensive, in London, in the south. Absolutely, that's an example of inequality. Some people have money, some people have expensive houses, others don't. And yes, QI, I'm going to do this now, actually. I'm going to talk about two places, one in the north and one in the south, and just give a few facts. So I'm going to draw a little table here. I want to talk about Blackpool. So we're going to do Blackpool, which is the second poorest part of the UK. Don't know if you've been to Blackpool, a little seaside place in the north. Blackpool Tower, and you've got the pleasure beach. But yeah, it's the second poorest part of the UK. And then let's have a little look at London in the south, and we'll just do a little facts table. Very small facts table here. Just comparing these two. I'm really loving today's revision. It looks Fantastic. But you only need a couple of facts just to drop into an answer, maybe, just to prove that there is a north-south divide. As you can say, house prices is one. Average house price could be one that you could look at. But we're going to go for life expectancy as one. So Blackpool's in the north. So we'll do that. We'll show you that in red because this is where there's high levels of poverty and deprivation. People doing without. Life expectancy in Blackpool. Life expectancy is shockingly low at 73 years. Oh, pen's playing up now. Might have to swap my pen, guys, here. Just give me 1 second. 73 years is life expectancy in Blackpool. So that's very low. Let's get a new pen out. Time to swap. And in some parts of London, the life expectancy in areas like Chelsea is up to 86 years old. So this is the same country, let's say 200 miles apart, and they're living an extra 13 years longer in London just because of wealth, and that brings healthier diets, private healthcare, less early retirement maybe, all of these things that you can do if you're a bit wealthier, maybe better diets, you can afford healthier diets as well. But yeah, massive difference, isn't it? Even the same country. Average wage in Blackpool is £31,000 a year, per year. In London, the average wage is 47,000 per year. So again, another example of inequality, vastly different in terms of wages in those two areas. So let's have a little look at government strategy to close the development gap. Government strategies to close the gap, or what they call level up, to get the north and the south equal. It's a very nice idea. Whether it will happen, yeah, to level up. So these are government strategies. These are all classed as top-down strategies where the government are in charge to try and make the UK in the north have a improved quality of life. So as I say, this is what I think might come up, or you might be able to talk about levelling up and government strategies. So there's 3 strategies the government have employed. Yes, QI, thank you for your fact there. Point for you. You're now on 4 there, QI, that's good. There we go. So what can the government do to close the gap between the richer south and the poorer north? There's 3 strategies that you need to know, guys. Let's have a little look at them. So what have the government planned to do? I think we've already had one earlier, actually, which I'm going to mention here. The first one is transport infrastructure. So building new railway lines, ports, airports, trying to get that north more connected to the south. Infrastructure and Europe as well, because that's really important for our trade. We've already mentioned European links. So transport infrastructure, the example you can talk about is High Speed Rail 2, also known as HS2, which is stage 1 is London to Birmingham, which is still going ahead. It will shorten journey times by about 20-25 minutes between London and Birmingham. It goes through the most beautiful area of the Chiltern Hills, which is an area of countryside. And because of that, most of the railway line has had to be tunnelled. There's actually a tunnel that's 13 miles long underneath this area of outstanding natural beauty because of all the objections of having the trains on top of the land. Yeah, they've had to drill underneath. And drilling is expensive. Cost at the moment roughly is £100 billion. This this railway's cost. And they still think it's going to get even more and more expensive. But about 100 billion. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And if you want a fact about it, it's at the moment it's turning out to be the world's most expensive railway. Bearing in mind, we were the world leaders in building railways in the Victorian era, but now we can't do it, not without spending billions of taxpayers' money. And again, it only is going to connect up to Birmingham. It's not going to go to Blackpool or Manchester or Hartlepool or Newcastle. And these northern towns and cities are what really need the improved connection to London. And it's not going to go there. It's going to cost too much money. So, yeah, there we go. Transport infrastructure. It's also linked to Heathrow Airport, new runway as well. That's transport infrastructure to help the south. We've got Liverpool 1 as well, regeneration project there. Lots of stuff going on. But yeah. Number 2 is, what else we got here? Bring back the Northern Powerhouse. That's what I say. I agree. Bring back the Northern Powerhouse. And that would help. HS2 has been delayed. Rare animal bats. Ooh, interesting. Yeah. There's been a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of claims, a lot of legal claims. They've spent a lot of money on purchasing people's houses and then not even using the land then to build the train line. It's been a government kind of disaster, to be honest. But we'll see how it turns out. 2029 is when it's supposed to be finished, roughly. Let's see how it doesn't even go into central London. They couldn't get the trains into central London. It's been problem after problem. Anyway, number 2, devolution of power, devolving power from central government. So at the moment, a lot of the decision making is made in Westminster in central London. But this is about giving power to local councils, giving funding, money, maybe put money, giving funding or money and decision making to local councils. So how does somebody sat in Westminster in London know what they need in Sunderland? Because they don't live there. They don't see what the struggles are each day. So the idea of this is that you give the local council in Sunderland the money and they identify the priorities that people need to get rid of poverty. And then that money is spent locally to help local people and help the area to improve quality of life and deprivation. We've got a really good example of the devolution, which is the Burton High Street project, which is all linked to the washlands. This has all come from central government money, and this is costing 23 million in Burton. It's a fantastic little project. The local council of Burton chose what to do to improve the area. They wanted to improve the high street and housing in the area as well. And it looks fantastic so far. The Burton High Street project, it's called. You might know it as the Washlands project as well, because they are creating Washlands tourism. We've got a new hotel there. We've got a new play area on the Washlands area. We've got a new museum, a history of brewing museum that's been built. Oh, it's all going on. It's exciting. Right, number 3. We always try and keep it local to where we know, so then we can try and remember it a bit better as well. I say the same with you, QI. Wherever you live, try and keep it local so that you can try and remember it a bit easier. If not, just remember ours. It's fine. Harry is absolutely right. We can create enterprise zones. So let's have a little look at this one. Again, if you run out of space on this side, guys, just go onto the back of your sheet. I'll try and squeeze mine on, but we've got 2 more bits of them. Enterprise or business parks, which are areas that attract businesses and private business to invest in the area to create hundreds of jobs. So we've got quite a few business parks in Burton-upon-Trent, especially to the south. We've got these huge distribution centres. We've got offices, And these are all on one area of land where all the businesses grouped together. And the reason why they do that is they get lots of benefits. So we get the government promise good transport links like the A38. They'll give any business there that locates there a tax break so they can earn more money, which is fantastic for them. Oops. They might promise things like super fast internet. If you put your business on this business park, we'll give you super fast internet at low prices. We might also offer you 24-hour security as well if you locate there. Often there's things like gyms on there that they can use, food courts as well maybe, and nurseries on some business parks. You can take your kids, drop them off at the nursery on the business park, and then go to work, pick them up afterwards. A business park that's really, and they also have kind of green space as well, like place to eat your food. Often got ponds and lakes and things like that. So they often have green space. Example of this is the Cobalt Business Park, which is one of our case studies. Cobalt Business Park, which is in Newcastle. And it's famous for a few businesses that are there that you may have heard of. It's got IBM, which is a computing software, and Santander, the bank, is also got an office there as well. So that creates huge amounts of jobs in the Newcastle area through that business park. But business parks are a great place to create employment in your area, especially in areas where there's a lack of jobs and deprivation. Yeah, it really does help. This one's been a real success, the Cobalt Business Park in Newcastle. Right, I want to just do two more little bits now. We're running out of space here, guys, but I think there might be a question on sustainable industry. So let's put sustainable industry in here. We're going to go, again, another big company in Derbyshire, which is Toyota Burniston. So if you asked about a business and what it's done to be sustainable, good for future generations, good for the environment, we're going to use Toyota Burniston, which is up near Derby. Toyota Burniston, which is a sustainable industry. And I'm going to show you 6 things that they've done to help the environment. So this is our sustainable industry case study. Here we go. So I'm just going to break it up into 6, and then I want to do one more thing underneath it as well. Just going to leave a little bit of space there. So here's our sustainable industry. 6 things that Toyota have done that have benefited the environment. So let's go for it. The first one is, this is all true about Toyota, 0 landfill. So they've sent no waste, no rubbish to landfill since 2007. Let me put since there. Since 2007, which is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? So no waste, all being recycled or reused or repurposed. That is absolutely brilliant. 0 landfill since 2007. They also have solar panels on the roofs of the factory. It's got a massive roof. It's got loads of solar panels. It's actually got 10 football pitches worth. Football pitches of solar panels on the roof, generating green, clean, 0 emissions, sustainable energy as well. Oh, fun fact, HS2 is delayed 2029, to 2033. It probably will be 2033 and probably about 200 billion by then, sadly. They've also got, at Toyota Burniston factory, they've also got a wind farm, which is really impressive. So they're generating wind energy, which helps the UK's energy mix, which we'll look at next time. So they have a wind turbine on site as well. Again, clean, green, sustainable energy for the factory, which is fantastic. This one is what not many businesses do this, but they also collect rainwater, and they use that as well in their factories. So it's called rainwater harvesting. So the rainwater runs off the roof, goes down a pipe, and then into a container. Fantastic, isn't it? And that water then can be used for, I don't know, watering the plants in their grounds, rainwater harvesting. Or can be used in the manufacturing to cool things down. Yeah, rainwater harvesting at Toyota Burniston. They also have they make electric cars, which obviously is good for the environment. So they actually make their own electric cars. Not that you'd ever buy that one, it looks a bit boxy. So they have EV or electric vehicles. I can't fit electric vehicles, so I'll put EV. And the most famous one is the Toyota Prius. Very popular electric vehicle. Again, full electric cars are made there as well, which are clean, green, and sustainable for the planet. So not only is the factory sustainable, the actual goods that they're producing is also sustainable. And one that's really important to me is the green space. Yeah, what a surprise. They have planted flowers and they have planted trees, which obviously helps with carbon capture, storage, wildlife, biodiversity, insects, bees, all that sort of good stuff. Colour our little flowers in. I'm absolutely loving how this is turning out, this little revision today. So they did some tree planting and wildflowers. Wildflowers. Yeah, tree planting and wildflowers there. Right, the last thing I want to do, and I've got a tiny bit of space in this bottom corner, is this. They may ask, it's only been on, I think it's been on twice before. They may ask, why or how is the UK important to the wider world? So I'm going to put in here, UK importance to the wider world. That's kind of the phrase that they'll probably ask in the exam. UK importance to the wider world. So last time today, hit us up in the chat, guys. Why is the UK still so important in the wider world for politics, culture? Yeah, try and think of as many reasons why the UK still has influence over the world. Just gonna have a sip of this tea. What have we got, guys? Harry's on 7, Bruno's on 9, James on 7, QI's on 5, and Rosa's on 1. Correct answer, yes, trade, internet, and television. Bruno's on 10, superb. Trade and culture, well done, QI. What bit of culture, you get a bonus point here. What culture from Britain has spread to other countries around the world? How else have we influenced them culturally? Yeah, transport, well done, QI. Yeah, you can have another point for that. Transport, yeah, we've got a very good airport called Heathrow. Many people will pass through Heathrow as they travel around the world. Yes, former empire. Yes, we were a former empire, Harry. What's it called? The countries that still are used the royal family as their head of state. What is that called? Countries that have our royal family as their head of state. Fantastic. Yeah, we've got alliances. We've got countries that are friends with us. In particular, these three over here, we've talked about US, India, and the EU countries. They are great allies of Britain currently. What have we got? The Commonwealth. Yes, the Commonwealth. And internet. So well done, QI. Well done, Harry. Well done, Bruno. Right, let's get them in then. So we've got a number of countries that are in the Commonwealth, like the Bahamas, Australia. So countries that still have our royal family, King Charles III, as their head of state. That's why sometimes he has to do state visits. We're also very famous for we are a transport hub. So people traveling the world on business or trade will pass through the UK, maybe through airports like Heathrow or through ports like Dover or Felixstowe as well. So we are a transport hub. We're also a major part of communications, and we have an internet hub in the UK. There's one in Asia, in China, there's one in the UK, and there's the US, the main ports for the internet. So we are an important part of the internet connection. For culture, we have Premier League football. We have BBC TV and news, things like Peppa Pig, Downton Abbey, and my favourite, Sir David Attenborough. His wildlife documentaries are shown all around the world. I'm not so sure the British breakfast has gone very far, the English fry up, but yeah, let's just say singers probably have. Ed Sheeran and Adele, probably good examples of culture spread. We're also part of NATO, as you probably know, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This is a group of countries between Europe and North America that are mutually defending each other. Okay, so if there's a conflict in one country, the other countries will come to help, which is what's happening. Well, it's not kind of happening, but it would happen if Poland, for example, was invaded by Russia. We're also part of the UN Security Council. The UN Security Council. This is 5 countries. It's prestigious. After World War II, 5 countries declared themselves victors: the USA, France and the UK, China and Russia, and they joined forces for world peace. So these 5 countries are supposed to be bringing about world peace. It's not going so well, is it, though? Because USA have been invading Afghanistan and Russia are invading Ukraine. So it's not really working very well. Last but not least, we're also part of the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, the World Trade Organization, where we do trade deals, and we are very important for global trade and business. So if you get asked a question about why the UK is still important in today's society, yeah, there's 7 really good reasons why we are still highly relevant, a potential we were a superpower. We were a superpower 1900, but yeah, not any longer. Right, as I say, it took a while tonight, but this topic is over 20 lessons, and we've covered at least 10 or 11 of those lessons in tonight's live stream. Look at that. I can't even get it straight. So much detail from UK economy, job sectors, impact on the environment with quarrying. We've got an amazing double case study for deindustrialization and job losses with the spiral of decline and regeneration in there as well. We've got the economic north-south divide. We've looked at strategies to close that north-south divide, sustainable business in the UK in Toyota, and why the UK still is deserving of its title, Great Britain. There we go, guys. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. We are going to have a live stream on Wednesday for question 3 on resources. Hope you can join us for that one. And that means we've got 4 videos in our series so far, and we'll add to it on a 5th on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Join us there if you can make it, or catch us on live catch up on whatever it is. Catch up. Yeah, watch on catch up. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, share and subscribe. Hit that notification bell when you know we're going to go live again. And for today, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. See you on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Yeah, thanks. Oh, all the love in the chat. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your break. Bye-bye.